Hi, thanks so much for joining in. You're watching Profit. My name is Mathew, and with me is Smriti Chaudhary. Let's take you through the next half an hour or so of trade. And by the way, in case you've got any questions, stock-related questions at that, you can send them to us on any one of our social media platforms or indeed on the WhatsApp number that should be flashing on your screen right now. In fact, let's very quickly pull up the benchmark indices and see where they're currently trading. It's been a bit of a weak day of trade, and in fact, you're trading very close to the low point of the day for the benchmark Nifty 50. And let's also pull up the broader markets. They have so far today in fact been outperforming, and in fact you have the mid-cap index that's trading with gains of about 0.1%, and you have the small-cap index that's also trading up about 0.1% or thereabouts, or more or less. In fact, let's pull up the small-cap 250. That'll give you a better idea of where it stands, and it's up about 0.1% or thereabouts. In fact, let's also pull up the market breadth just to give you a sense of where things stand in terms of the texture of the market, because we've seen a little bit of selling pressure across the entire global landscape, and we're not seeing cuts to that extent here in India. More or less even Stevens on the advances and declines side. Now, we have been tracking the Supreme Court judgment in the Adani case, and really this is a group of stocks that is buzzing in trade today. You have some of these stocks, of course, that have come off the high point of the day, but you still see the entire group that is trading with gains right now. In fact, that is going to be the focus at the start today as well. I believe that we've got our experts that have joined in. We've got Rajesh Agarwal as well as Kunal Rambhia of the streets joining in. And if we do have Rajesh Agarwal with us right now, all right, so I believe we're waiting for Rajesh to join. But in the meanwhile, Kunal, a lot of activity in the Adani group of stocks. What can you tell us about the technical levels to watch out for some of the bigger ones, perhaps, and the likes of Adani Ports, the likes of Adani Enterprises as well? What can you tell our viewers?
Very good morning, Alex, and morning to all our viewers. So if you look at the Adani index, I mean the counter itself, after this Feb 2023 decline, the counter is clearly making higher top, higher bottom formation. In between, there were a couple of months where it was sideways and a lackluster kind of behavior was seen. But off lately, again, it picked up really well. It's been a month now, this counter is trading in a particular range, and if you look at the levels on the resistance side are 3030, and the support is turning up to around 2775. So Adani Enterprise right now is in that particular zone itself. I think till the time the zone is not taken out decisively, a sideways consolidation movement is likely to continue, and what we are witnessing in today's session again is that it went up to as high as 3200, but it came down again and within that particular zone. So from here on, my expectations on Adani Enterprise are that I'll be waiting for this counter to give a decisive breakout about 3050 kind of levels, and then we can expect the previous highs of around 4000 to turn up on charts. As far as Adani Port is concerned, now again the formations are almost similar. Formations in today's session, again we saw a good sell-off coming from the extreme highs, but the formation is better. We would wait for the breakout of around 1120. Above 1120, I think one can expect the rallies till around 1250 to 1300 kind of levels.
All right, we'll start off with the questions now, and we'll take a view from Rajesh also when he joins the show. But let's take up the first question. Good morning, Kunal. The first one is from Narendran, and he has already bought shares of Apollo Microsystems. He wants to know if he should continue holding the stock. Now, from what I can see, the stock has been a multi-bagger and has given returns of over 300% in the last 1 year. It's seeing an uptrend today also and is up about 3%. What do you suggest? Should he continue holding the stock, or is it a good time to book profits?
Very good morning. So again, this counter, as you rightly suggested, that this counter is in trending mode itself, and it's turned out to be multi-bagger. But the only trouble what I can see on the chart is that this counter is either into an uptrend, making high these upper circuits, and when it comes down, it makes the lower circuits again. So be a little cautious on the risk management front. Otherwise, for now, I think this counter is absolutely in good trend. The stop loss, the trailing stop loss can be 115. So until this counter breaks 115, I think our viewer can comfortably hold the position, and the immediate targets on the charts can be as high as 160 to 165.
Okay. I believe we've got Rajesh Agarwal with us as well. Rajesh, good morning to you. And clearly the big headline story of the morning is the Supreme Court judgment in the Adani Hindenburg case, where the petitions have been disposed of by the Supreme Court, and quite a few statements were made by the Chief Justice of India. Of course, they've also very clearly said that there is no need for a transference of the case from the SEBI to investigative agencies, and they're trusting the regulatory judgment and the regulatory processes of the Securities and Exchange Board of India. It's being seen as a clean chit for the Adani Group. What is your view on whether or not investors, or how should investors approach investing in the Adani Group from this point? Because that key overhang and that dark cloud has moved off, as people have already pointed out on this platform.
Good morning to all of you. You said it right, the dark clouds has moved on, and I think it's time investors should take a look at the group stock, because from the last more than 1 year or so, things have been pretty bad after the Hindenburg report came. But since the Chief Justice has almost disposed of everything, I think it's time to look at these stocks, because fundamentally there has been nothing wrong with the stock. The company were doing well, whether be into ports or cement or power. They had huge capacity and things were going well. And even in this meantime, when the report came until current times, the promoters have infused funds. They have raised equity. Over $5 billion of US dollars has been raised in equity, repaid loan, that was loan against shares, and serviced some amount of loan. Even cement capacity, which after the acquisition of Sanghi has gone to around 74 million tons per annum, they are planning to make it to 140 millions in the next 5 years or so. That's a huge capacity addition, I would say. And in other areas also, they are doing very well. Somewhere Adani Power has got a very big capacity. They are planning 7 lakh crore of expansion in the next decade. So things are looking good on the fundamental side on the group of some of the companies of the groups, I would say. There were problems with all those things, and when the dark clouds are moved on, I think some of the companies like Adani Power or Adani Enterprise or Ambuja Cement, they are trading at a huge discount to what they should be. So I think one can have a position into them for a period of maybe 12 to 18 months for getting good amount of returns.
Standard disclosure. Thanks so much, Rajesh, for giving us that view. You're watching NDTV Profit, which is a subsidiary of the AMG Media Network, which is part of the Adani Group. Smriti? Right.
Let's take up the next question. Good morning, Rajesh. The first question, or the second rather, is from Sachin, and he has bought shares of Rallis India. He bought them about 2 years ago, and at a price of 259. Now the stock hasn't done a lot in the last 1 year. It's only up about 7%, and it's trading around 262. He wants to know if, based on the fundamentals, should he continue holding it, or should he just get out, because the stock hasn't been doing much?
You said it right. This stock has done nothing in the last 2 years or so, despite being the fact that it's from the Tata Group. Fundamentally, it's a very strong stock catering to agrochemical space, and that's one of the space we are very bullish on in the next 1 year or so, because rural development would be something to be watched out in the continuing government and the next government also. So I believe Rallis, if somebody not in a hurry to have some cash in their hands, they can continue to hold.
Coming to you, Kunal, on this next one. Reliance Industries is the name of the counter that we're focusing on. Abhishek Kore, who's writing in from Solapur, is asking about whether or not 2680 is possible. Let's pull up the charts and see where it's currently trading. Reliance Industries, it's not really participated in the big run-up that you've seen in the Nifty 50 over the last 2 months or so. So the question is whether 2680 is possible on the charts in January.
So, Alex, just let's look at the couple of older data. So, if you look at the April 2022 high, this counter made a high of around 2600, and from there it tumbled down to crazy low levels of around 2000. Again, counter managed to make the high of around 2630, that was in July 2023. Again, it could not surpass, it came down again to those 2250 levels. And now, in today's session, it made a high of 2635. but it's consistently facing this resistance zone near 2600 to 2610. So I would turn very cautious. In fact, looking at the today's candlestick, which seems to be like a shooting star near the peak, I would stay cautious, and I would advise our viewer to actually, maintain a trailing stop loss, which is right now at around 2585. If the counter breaks 2585, take an exit. I think the upside will remain kept.
All right. Next up, we have a question from Mohammad Ali. He's talking about two counters now, NMDC Steel and Tata Teleservices. Let's take a fundamental view on this. Rajesh, if you cover these two stocks, how does it look for the longer term?
See, for longer term, NMDC still looks very good because of the capacity it has. But the only problem is sometimes back, there was a government announcement, somebody from the government said that it's not going to be privatized, and after that the stock fell. Otherwise, if you see looking at the capacity and all, I think one can continue to hold the steel industry as a whole is going to perform well, especially on the fact that the government's focus is on infrastructure development and realty is also doing well. So one can continue to hold NMDC steel. As far as TTSL, that's Tata Teleservices, is concerned, I think if somebody is sitting on a profit, it's time to book profits.
I will quickly slip in one more since you've spoken about a related space. Tata Steel is the name of the counter. Geeta from Mumbai is asking about whether or not it can be bought from the time frame of 2030. So quite a long time frame to hold something like this. Would you say that it's a good buy, Rajesh, from that time frame?
See, it's a market leader, no doubt on that. On capacity basis, it belongs to a good group, but as it has not done anything in the recent past, I think for a time frame of 2030, that's almost 7 years, 6 years from now, one can continue to hold. Its company is doing well. We believe that going forward, when we are talking of large capex being done by private sector and public sector, infrastructure development and all those things, I think if something happens to steel sector on a positive side, Tata Steel would be a big beneficiary.
All right, we'll slip into a short break now, but after the break, we'll take a lot more queries, such queries. So stay tuned for that.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, and this is where you get answers to all of your stock-related questions. And to that end, let me take the next one from Khurshid. Khurshid is writing in from Srinagar and asking about TV18 Broadcast, which has been bought. 7,000 shares have been bought at levels of 50. The question is to you, Rajesh, on the fundamentals. With this imminent merger of TV18 Broadcast and Network 18, how should one how should existing investors react to this? Do they hold? And based on the fundamentals, would you continue holding?
To give a disclosure, I am holding TV18 myself. So that's one of the disclosures, right? And as far as company is concerned, I think after the demerger, it will be the size of the company will be very big, with a lot of news channels, business channels, colors that in the GVC segment, even mobile app, entertainment mobile app. So I think it would be a big conglomerate, and one should continue to hold to the stock. We have a target of around 75 odd rupees in this stock, pre-merger, I would say. After that, depends on the merger, in the next 12 to 18 months.
Right. Next up, we have a question from Ajay, and he wants a view on hospitals sector on the whole, and he's specifically talking about Medanta, Fortis and Apollo hospitals. Now, Rajesh, we saw a spike in revenues and margins during the COVID period in the hospital space, and there was some positivity post that as well. But now we are kind of out of that pandemic space. Do you still see value in hospitals in the longer term?
Of course, yes. We see immense value in this sector. Yes, you said it right. We have come out of the pandemic phase, but still we should not forget that after the pandemic, a lot of people have started taking interest in medical insurance that was in a very nascent state pre-COVID. So with the increase of people going for Mediclaim, they are going to organize sector for their issues or whatever happens. And not to forget the kind of medical tourism we have started witnessing after the COVID, that increased by anything. Patients from Bangladesh and nearby countries are pouring it like anything, and that's helping these hospitals. Most of them are going on an expansion mode. Larger hospitals like Apollo hospitals are going for reducing their debt, selling stakes in their insurance venture, who was one of the things. They have huge pharmacy business. All those things add up to the value of these hospitals. Out of the entire hospital pack at this point of time, we are very bullish on Medanta. One, that's Global Healthcare, and the second one is Shalby. Shalby is a small hospital based out of Ahmedabad. They are into joint replacement, and now they are moving into multi-specialty. So their focus is on to developing their chain by around 50 franchisee sort of business, so that there is no more capex there. Virtually debt-free, and they have taken over a company in US that's into the implant business, and that business is going to increase the margins like anything. So Medanta and Shalby, these two are better choices from the entire sector.
So would you specifically be bullish on the diagnostic space? Like you mentioned that now patients have started to go out and kind of have these sort of health checkups. So does that mean diagnostics is going to bring more value, or individually you're looking at, or rather holistically at the hospital space?
See, basically we are looking holistically into the entire healthcare space, which includes hospitals and diagnostics. Some of the hospitals like Global Healthcare is planning a big move into diagnostic also. But specifically, if we talk about diagnostics, then we think Metropolis is in a sweet spot in the entire space because of their niche products and their acquisition of some smaller companies in Bangalore. And the kind of valuation cut they have witnessed post-COVID. So I think Metropolis qualifies for our investment.
All right. We've got Prasanna who's asking about Adani Green. I'm not sure if you already spoke about that, Kunal, but I'm going to take it to you anyway because he's given his buy price. He's bought at levels of 1,460. So he's seeing upside. He's got 300 shares. His time frame is 3 months. What level should he watch out for?
See, Alex, we haven't discussed, so certainly let's just go through it. So this counter was in consolidation between Jan 2022 to around Jan 2023, where constant support was available to the counter at 1650. Post that, we saw the breakdown across the segment, and again, it's reached back to the same level, which is 1650. If you look at the recent data of January, I think 1700 was the high which was made. Again, it's back to 1650. So I'll turn cautious as of now because we call it as change in polarity in technicals. So managing to cross above, I think 1675 or 1700 kind of levels would open the upside till around 2200 levels. But otherwise, this level might act as a resistance for now. So I would just advise our viewer to remain cautious. Keep a trailing stop loss of around 1550. If the counter breaks 1550, then take an exit. And by any chance counter manages to close above 1700, I think it will open the doors for 2200 and one can go bullish even at present levels.
Right. Next one, we have a question from Ravi Kumar from Ghaziabad. He's talking about Samvardhan Motherson, and he bought the stock at 93 levels. He wants to know if he should book profits or should he continue holding it for the longer term. Rajesh, how do you view this stock for the next two to 3 years?
For 2 to 3 years, one should definitely hold on to the stock. If by any chance it falls to around 90, 95 odd levels, that was a good entry point. The company is one of the best in auto ancillary space, has not performed in the recent past because of several issues. But going forward, when auto numbers are doing very well and we are very bullish on auto as a space because demand from tier 2, tier 3 cities and rural is going up. We have seen monthly data coming in, which is very exciting. So I think auto ancillary as a space, the entire space is going to do well. Samvardhan being one of the prominent names is bound to do well, not only because of domestic market, but because of their presence in the international markets also. Yeah. At least a target of 125, 130 can be kept for the next 1.5 years.
Okay, thanks so much. And I want to very quickly slip in this last question. This is from Sumana. No specific stock, but 7,500 what Sumana has for the next 1 to 3 months. Kunal, can you give a strategy? Very quick.
Please come back.
So 7,500 rupees, Sumana can invest in anything for the next 1 to 3 months. Can you please give a strategy?
Yeah, certainly. So I think I'll go ahead with Laurus Lab. I think this counter is giving a fresh breakout. So although the amount is less, so I will not really advise the derivative trade, but one can certainly buy Laurus Lab at the present level, keep the stop loss of around 420. I think this counter has the capacity to show us the levels of 475 to 480 levels very soon.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and for answering all the questions that you did answer. And viewers, hopefully, even if your question was not answered, I hope that some of the stocks that we discussed today have benefited you in some way. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up over the course of the next couple of hours. And from Smriti and myself and the team that put the show together, thank you so much for watching. This is NDTV Profit.